I'm Susan Euler. In this program, we're going to take a trip back to the ancient Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum, probably the closest any of us will ever get to a time machine. August 24th, 79 AD had been an ordinary morning. The Bay of Naples was sparkling in the late summer sunshine. People were going about their daily activities, visiting friends at the public baths, shopping, working. At the Theater of Herculaneum, actors and stagehands were busy setting up for the afternoon's performance. But things weren't exactly normal. For several weeks now, the area had been experiencing minor earthquakes, and the water had suddenly stopped flowing in some of the city wells and public fountains. Mount Vesuvius, always an ominous presence in the background, had been giving off more smoke than normal, and some people reported seeing fires burning on its slopes at night. Then, a little before noon, just as everyone was sitting down to lunch, the world as they knew it ended, beginning with a deep, rumbling roar that survivors described as sounding like an angry bull. Mount Vesuvius exploded, sending a plume of steam, smoke, and ash several miles into the sky, plunging the area into darkness and raining down a deadly combination of huge boulders and suffocating volcanic ash on the nearby towns of Herculaneum and Pompeii. The eruption continued unabated for 3 days, leaving a death toll in the thousands. Although the volcano had been giving off ominous signs for weeks that something bad was about to happen, the Roman authorities had no evacuation plan. Certainly, some people left the area before the eruption started, but most people stayed in their homes. They really had no place else to go. But once it became obvious that stone walls and tile roofs offered no protection against falling volcanic ash and red-hot lava, the citizens took to the streets in a panic. Pliny the Younger, who survived the disaster, later wrote about how he and his mother drove their chariot through the frenzied, screaming mob, trying to stay ahead of a thick black cloud of volcanic ash that finally enveloped them. Pliny described the darkness caused by that cloud as like being in a sealed room without lights. The question everybody asks is, didn't the Romans know that was a volcano? Well, yeah, they knew it was a volcano, but they thought it was an inactive volcano. I mean, it had never gone off in recent memory, not since the Romans had lived on the Italian peninsula. So they figured, well, it'll probably just blow over. We do the same exact thing today. I grew up in California, and although we never thought much about it, the fact is the entire west coast of the United States is filled with volcanoes. Yes, most are believed to be dormant, just like the Romans in 79 AD thought that Mount Vesuvius was dormant. But ever so often a west coast volcano erupts, and it's always a surprise. We are really just as unprepared for such a disaster as the ancient Romans were. What has saved us, at least so far, is that the most recent eruptions of Mount Lassen and Mount St. Helens didn't take place in a populated area. The area around Mount Vesuvius was heavily populated in 79 AD, just like it's heavily populated today. After the disaster, the Emperor Titus organized relief efforts for the survivors. Then, as soon as it seemed safe, people returned to the area to see what could be salvaged. Tall buildings, such as the Pompeii Basilica, which was never completely buried in ash, were stripped of their valuable marble veneers and bronze statues. Tunnels were dug into homes and shops, perhaps by owners, but more likely by looters. Unfortunately, many of these people were overcome by the noxious volcanic fumes trapped underground. After a few deaths, the site was simply abandoned as too dangerous. Time moved on. In 1710, a peasant digging a new well ran across large blocks of high-quality marble that he knew he could sell for a lot of money. He put out the word, and soon news of the find reached the ears of a tremendously wealthy Austrian prince, Emmanuel Maurice de Lorraine, Prince d'Elbeuf. The prince was building a lavish new villa in nearby Portici for his Italian bride. He immediately bought the marble blocks and the peasants' land, then hired a crew to dig for additional blocks. The digging was exceedingly difficult and would probably have been quickly abandoned if the workmen had not immediately blundered directly into the ruins of the theater of Herculaneum. The theater, which had been abandoned during the eruption, was still set up for the afternoon's performance, with props, scenery, and the actors' dressing rooms exactly as they had been left 2,000 years before. It was an amazing and valuable find. An inscription told the prince what he had discovered: ancient Herculaneum. Ordering everything dismantled at once and shipped to his new villa as well as to his home in Austria, he angered the locals because he was shipping their national treasures out of the country. They appealed to the Pope, who immediately stopped the digging, but only temporarily. The first more or less systematic excavations began in Herculaneum in 1738 and in Pompeii in 1748. After several major eruptions of Mount Vesuvius convinced local authorities that time was of the essence. And with every new discovery, people all over Europe and America became more and more enthralled with ancient Rome. Soon, everybody wanted to be a Roman. This is, of course, a very sad thing, but the plaster casts of people scattered all over the ruins of ancient Pompeii aren't like the automated talking Lincoln at Disneyland. No, these are the actual bodies of people who died in the eruption of 79 AD, preserved for 2,000 years in the postures in which they died. These portraits found in their homes show what they looked like in life. Excavations have been ongoing now for 300 years, with additional finds being made on a regular basis. Although the heavy volcanic ash caved in most of the roofs, thanks to recent restoration work, it is now possible to see what an ancient Roman city actually looked like, which is very much like a modern Italian town. And since the shops, homes, and public buildings were left just as they were when the disaster occurred 2,000 years ago, we can see exactly how the ancient Romans lived. It's like going back in time. But it's a little bit unsettling to realize that those loaves of bread and hard-boiled eggs on display are not props, but actual food that was left on the table when Vesuvius erupted and the inhabitants fled, never to return. For the 10-Minute Professor, this is Susan Ray Euler. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you watch our next program.